Welcome back, guys. If there's one guy that's just absolutely synonymous with WWE and synonymous with WrestleMania, that is The Undertaker. The undisputed Mount Rushmore character in most people's opinion, the undisputed locker room leader of WWE, and the undisputed WrestleMania GOAT. But you asked me for my top 10 best Undertaker non-WrestleMania matches. So I went and I scoured the depths of my mind to try and find the 10 best, obviously he's got so many, 10 best Undertaker non-WrestleMania matches. At number 10, we've got Undertaker vs. Brock at No Mercy 2002. So this was right at the time where Undertaker, according to most people, were out of shape. This was his old biker gimmick. He was still in better shape than 99% of the human population. This was an opportunity for him and he used that opportunity. He kind of had a throwback to his Hell in a Cell with Mankind by the way, he worked Hell in a Cell against Mankind at King of the Ring 98 with a broken ankle. Yeah, he worked with a broken hand, and this was a shoot broken hand. It was a real broken hand with the cast on, and he put over Brock Lesnar huge. Undertaker absolutely made Brock Lesnar look like $1 million, and he made him look like the next big thing. Number 9 is versus Bret Hart at One Night Only 1997. Now this match is not the easiest one to find footage of because it was kind of taken off of the later releases, but you can find footage of this match. So this was when Undertaker's gimmick was still so strong that he's a dead man and he's unbeatable and he's a zombie wizard, mortician, dead, I don't know, he was just the ultimate character. But he did a couple of things in this match that you didn't really see much before this, and that was he sold for Bret, and he also tried to out-wrestle Bret when it came to submission moves. Now Bret is probably one of the ultimate submission guys, but Taker tried to go toe-to-toe with Bret with submission, and he also sold like crazy for Bret. Number 8 is versus Mankind, Buried Alive, I believe it was 1996. So Mick Foley or Mankind and Undertaker's rivalry was absolutely legendary. Watch the Undertaker's documentary or watch Mankind's documentary. Their rivalry, both of them speak so highly of that rivalry. Now as a kid, I was 10 years old when I watched this match. I genuinely believed that the person was buried alive. Now Mick Foley tells an interesting story of them working this match at house shows, and every time they locked him in there was a little secret compartment for him to roll underneath, and every time he said, please get me out as soon as possible, and always they left it very late, and they always just ripped Mick Foley, which he's just such a good guy. So this match, I genuinely believed that Mick Foley got buried alive. He got choked slam into that hole, and I genuinely honestly believe that this was the end for Mick Foley. So this match is so near and dear to my heart. Number 7 is versus Angle and The Rock at Vengeance, I believe it was 02. It was a triple threat match. Now this was in that same time frame of versus Brock Lesnar. It was 02 and he was, according to most people, out of shape, and there was a lot of haters online. But in this triple threat match, he worked and he proved all those haters wrong. He proved he was still the Undertaker that could absolutely go, and he was hanging in there with Kurt Angle and he was hanging in there with The Rock. Absolute solid match. Number 6 is the 6-man Hell in a Cell match at Armageddon 2000, I believe it was. It was against Rikishi, Stone Cold, Triple H, The Rock, and who else was in this match? It was Taker, Rikishi, Stone Cold, Triple H, The Rock, and Kurt Angle. This match literally is just, if you were to take the entire Attitude Era and you just put it in a bottle and sold that's the Attitude Era. Who can forget this? This match was just madness. The cameraman had no idea where to focus. The backstage, the producers, probably Kevin Dunn must have had such a difficult time with which camera to cut to, because it was just chaos all around. And who can forget, well, Undertaker choke slamming Rikishi off the Hell in a Cell. He kind of just pushed him, but Mick Foley. Rikishi still said in a lot of interviews that that was the scariest bump he ever took in his entire life. That was just such a crazy match, and as a kid, I just loved this match. Number 5 is versus Kurt Angle at No Way Out 2006. This is where Undertaker really leaned into the whole fighting like an MMA guy. He had the gloves on, he was doing the striking, all those things. He was hanging in there with a legit Olympic gold medalist, and he was striking with the absolute best of them. This is where the whole, maybe before this, but this is when Undertaker had that whole thing of he's the purest striker in the business, and this was just such a good match, hanging in there with Kurt Angle. Fair warning, the top 4's matches that's special to me, not necessarily the best matches. So number 4 is versus Mick Foley, Boiler Room. I believe this was also 1996, the Boiler Room Brawl. So again, if you watch Mick Foley and you watch Undertaker's documentaries, Mick Foley said this was filmed over more than one day, and Mick Foley actually had a scratch on his arm, and he had to reopen the scratch to make it look fresh for the next day's scene. And Mick Foley, he said that they kind of just threw stuff at each other and apologized afterwards. They didn't really plan anything in advance. Like if you saw the coffee thing that Mick Foley with the hot coffee that he threw at Taker, that was real boiling, piping hot coffee, and he just said he asked apologies afterwards. He didn't beginning with saying, Undertaker, I'm going to do this, is that okay? He just did it and afterwards asked for forgiveness. This match was chaos, and for my money, still the best Boiler Room Brawl there's ever been. Number 3 is versus Shawn Michaels at Bad Blood 97, the inaugural Hell in a Cell match, where Shawn Michaels was just the absolute biggest heel in the business, and Undertaker wanted to just keep him silent a little bit. And this, of course, for my money, the best, and hear it now, the best debut there has ever been in pro wrestling was Kane interfering in this match. The best debut. So this match is just incredibly special to me. I was a kid, I was 10, 11 years old watching this match, seeing Kane, and it genuinely kind of terrified me. Number 2 is a match I kind of alluded to earlier already. It's versus Mankind at 1998 King of the Ring. So Undertaker genuinely believed that this was going to be his last match. He thought he was going to retire because his body was wrecked. He had a broken ankle in this match, even though he left the match slightly better off than Mankind. So Mankind, after watching the 1997 Hell in a Cell match, he wondered how he could outdo Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. And Terry Funk said, what if you start the match on top of the cell? And Mankind went to Vince and he went to Taker and he said, can we do that? And they both said no. And they said no every single day until the day of the pay-per-view. Mick Foley went there and Vince finally said, sure. And Taker said, sure. And then he kind of discussed the throw with Taker, and Taker said, Vince or Mick, I don't want to do that. Eventually they agreed that he would be fine, and now it's common practice to see somebody fall from the cell, but they've got the padding, they've got the little airbags. There was nothing like that for Mick. But still, the bump from the cell was not the worst one. The bump through the cell was the worst, because that was not supposed to happen. The other one, Mick could control it. He could kind of plan his landing, where with that one through the cell, if he got up a little bit higher for the chokeslam, he would have landed on his head, and it would have probably been the end of Mick Foley. But this match is just so special to me. And number 1 is just such a special match to me. It's because it's one of my all-time favorites. It's versus Jeff Hardy on Raw, a ladder match for the World Championship. So that commentary of Jim Ross, climb that ladder, kid, make yourself famous. Oh, so good. It actually gives me goosebumps just thinking back about this. Undertaker was, at this point in his career, he was not a very giving guy. He didn't take a lot of bumps, and he also didn't put people over very much, which was his full right. I mean, he's a legend. But that night, he put Hardy over. Hardy didn't go over in the match. He didn't win, but Taker put Hardy over. When Hardy just didn't want to quit, and Undertaker put another beating on him, and Hardy still didn't want to quit, and Undertaker eventually raised his hand. That just solidified Jeff Hardy as a main event player. Anyway guys, there you have it. That's my 10 favorite Undertaker non-WrestleMania matches. What would be your top 10? Let me know in the comment section. Peace.